What's up, everybody? We are finally back. It's finally starting to warm up in Michigan, so we are finally getting back to work on the 1725 motor. So my wife is in the house cooking right now, so she's not going to be out here for the first bit of the video to help with camera angles and whatever. But I'm just going to kind of walk you guys through what's new. We went downstate a couple days ago and we managed to pick up a carburetor, a new fuel pump because the old one is questionable. So it's nice to have a backup. He gave it to us completely free, so why not? He also gave us a spacer for the fuel pump. He gave us a distributor riser. He gave us a distributor and a brand new set of points, which is currently in the house. A oil filter adapter, for an oil cooler if we so choose to use one. And he gave us a starter. So we got a really good deal on all this stuff. We're ready to finally start throwing everything together. We have a few more things coming in the mail. We are still waiting on coil pack, starter relay, oil filter, dipstick, and plug wires. And then we are ready, hopefully, to get this thing set up and running. Oh, and a starter wire. We got to pick up a starter wire, but we can just get that at any part source. So I'm going to start by first scraping off all this old gasket crap from around the old oil pan to hopefully get that cleaned up and ready. By the way, side note, the audio in this video might not be as good as the audio in my other videos. I decided not to use a mic because I really want to enjoy just focusing on getting this engine put together and running. I don't want to be carrying around a mic in one hand while I'm trying to work. It's just kind of a pain. So you're gonna have to deal with the iPhone audio. I'm sorry, hopefully it's not too bad. I wish I could get a better angle of this, but this is just uber satisfying right now. Look at that. Can I peel or is it gonna break? That's gonna break. Yup. Sheesh. Just gotta do that all the way around. Make sure we get down in these nooks and crannies, these crevices. Gonna have to run some RTV in here, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. This one's gonna be a pain to get out, probably. Let me see if I can just peel it. Nope, not happening. Got my work cut out for me, at least in these areas. The rest shouldn't be too bad, though. All right, so here it is all cleaned up. Managed to get down in these crevices. These need cleaned out a little bit more. But managed to get down in these crevices around where the crank sits with a pick tool and get that all cleaned out. But for the most part, she's just about ready to throw the oil pan gasket on. I think I might wait to throw the pan on, and I might work on the top end for the time being. That way, should I drop anything into the engine because I'm a dumbass, or should something fall down into the lower end while I'm working on the top end, the pan isn't on it, so I'm not going to have to remove the pan. So I think I'm going to focus on the top end for now. And then the oil pan I'll probably throw on as one of the last steps or one of the later steps. But she's just about ready to go home. All right, going? Mm-hmm. All right, so my wife's back out here now, so we can have her do all the camera work. So I realized when I flip this over that we have some pitting again on the top of the block where the cylinder head sits. So I'm gonna take a wire brush. I don't wanna get the drill out right now. It's really not horrible. I'm gonna see if I can clean this up. Come look at this and see what we're looking at here. We got a little bit of pitting. I don't think it's anything that should be too drastic, but we'll see how a wire brush does. Oh, look at that. It's cleaning it right up. You know, in a perfect world, I would use some of that head gasket sealant, some of like the copper spray or whatever it is that they use to kind of help, because this isn't a perfect block and there is some pitting, but I don't think we should have any issues. So the only way to find out is to run it and to see. All right, I'm going to avoid. I was going to hit it with some carb cleaner, some parts cleaner to make sure that it's extra clean, but I'm going to avoid doing that because all the parts on the bottom of this engine are currently lubed up, and I don't want to wash that lube away with carb cleaner. So All right, look at that. I think she's ready to get lifters, so I think next we'll throw the lifters in. The head. We'll figure it out as we go. All right, so next we are going to throw the lifters in. I want to get them in and out of the way. So I'm going to start by making sure that these bores are clean. I made sure they were clean. We honed them out last fall or last summer sometime, but I want to make sure before throwing the lifters in that they are perfectly clean, because one little piece of grit in there can cause detrimental damage. So we're going to try to avoid that. I think I'm going to clean them one at a time and throw the lifters in, just to make sure that, you know, by the time we get one in the hole, it's nice and clean. These lifters do have a significant amount of pitting on them. As you can see, this one's not horrible, but we're just going to go ahead and move it up and drop it on in. Moves reasonably well. I mean, it doesn't glide perfectly, but this is also pretty thick lube, and once the engine's running, it'll break it in. Now, they say you're supposed to use lifters that have mated to your cam. However, I don't have lifters that have mated to my cam, so we're just gonna run what we got. It honestly, we're not building a race car here, so it shouldn't cause too many issues. Aside from, like I said, maybe the pitting. Maybe the pitting is gonna cause issues. Let me show you one of the bad ones here. We'll drop one of the bad ones in. This one. I'll hold it in the light here so you can see. This one's got some pretty gnarly pitting. But like I said, we're gonna run it. We're gonna see what happens. Worst case scenario, we have to change a cam and lifters at some point, so we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I'm not gonna bore you guys with a shot of me throwing every lifter in. So we're just gonna clean the holes, throw the lifters in, slide them around, and I'll let you guys know when they're in. All right, last one is going in. This stuff is amazing stuff, but I made the tragic mistake of picking up the bottle when I had it all over my hands, and now it's going to end up everywhere. Oh, this one's got some resistance. Oh, there we go. Cleaned right up. Might be a little bit of resistance, but you know what? This motor's got thick push rods. It'll take it. And then we'll drop a little bit of lube down into each of these lifters. Is that what you're supposed to do? You know, I don't know, probably not. But my philosophy is you can never have too much assembly lube. I'm gonna change these now because everything I touch is gonna be all gross. So I think next, we might be ready to throw the head on, honestly. I made sure that all these jackets were clear. I do have to go through and make sure that all of the head bolt holes are clear, because if you have a dead end hole, you want to make sure it's completely clear. Even a little bit of liquid in there can ruin everything. So I'm going to make sure that those are clear, and then I think we're ready to throw push rods in, throw the head on. I mean, we have all the gaskets we need now, so now it's time to start digging out all the parts which I ordered, which the garage is a huge mess right now, so everything is just kind of thrown everywhere. And it looks like we have oil pan gasket, timing cover gasket here. Head gaskets in this one, so. All right. Time to get the head gasket out. This is an exciting moment. And it's copper. It's shiny.
Why they keep barking at the freaking
chair? Stupid. Couple of dummies. Alright, now the exciting thing about getting a kit like this is you have all the gaskets you need in here. So naturally, you're now just going to have a big pile of gaskets everywhere as soon as you unbox this. So we're going to take interest in the head gasket here. Sheesh, look at that thing. Alright. So Put that there, and hopefully we don't lose too many of those. Now, I don't know if this one's labeled. Yep, top, made in England. So, gasket's gonna sit on here just like that. We're ready to throw the head on. All right, so now we're gonna throw the head studs in. This motor is weird. It has 2 head studs and the rest are head bolts. I'm gonna start by getting these hand tight. I don't know exactly what the specs are on the stud. Roots said that the head should be tightened down to 48 foot-pounds originally, and then they changed it to 45 foot-pounds to reduce head gasket failures. I think I'm going to follow it to the end of these threads just to make sure that they're in all the way, and then we'll be ready to throw the gasket on and throw the bolts in. Now, this might not be what the professionals do. Try not to gnar it up too much, but I'm going to tighten these down all the way until the threads are all the way in. Should be all right. Shouldn't hurt nothing, right? All right, exciting moment. Head gasket is going on. Maybe. All right. Here comes the head. All right, make sure I got this going the right way. Whoa. Yes, okay, so it's gonna go in this way. Actually, hold on, pause. All right, I'm glad I didn't go like completely retard and not check the bottom of this. I almost did. Because it was cleaned up at one point, but it's been sitting out here throughout the winter. And it's dusty and gross. So I'm not so worried about all this carbon and crap in here. It's just there's a lot of grit and dust. So I'm going to spray all that off real quick. Then we'll throw it on. Okay. Oh yeah, look at that cleaning right up now. Sheesh. Alright, so I'm glad I double checked that. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but you know, I think she's clean enough. I don't think it'll give us any problems. If it does, worst case scenario, we gotta do a head gasket. Worst case scenario, we gotta do a head gasket, lifters, and a cam. Could be a lot more than that when it comes down to it, but all right, the head is on. That's exciting. So now one of the steps you don't want to skimp out on is making sure that this surface here where the tappet cover goes is nice and flat. So you might have to shift the head forward or back just to make sure that it seals properly there. Should take a straight edge and put it along here just to make sure it's absolutely perfect. Oh shit! I'm gonna make sure lined up there. Lined up there. All right. Start slapping bolts in. All right, now, these are nasty. I don't know how these got so jungy sitting out here over the winter. Just went through a whole can of brake clean on one bolt. Sheesh, dude. Okay. So I'm gonna slap all these in. Torque them down to 45 foot-pounds is the new number that they came out with. And then I think we'll pull the rocker assemblies off. Make sure they're in good order because these ones especially look pretty crusty. And then start throwing push rods in. All right, so to get to these front head bolts, the rocker assemblies have to come off anyways. So we're going to go ahead and take these off as well. So one of the interesting things about these, maybe it's just because it's a tiny motor, but when you're coming from working on like American big blocks, you can practically throw one of these motors together by hand tightening the bolts. I mean, the torque specs are so small. Like I said, even the head bolt torque specs are like 45 foot-pounds. But we have our first dilemma, which is I don't have the nuts for these studs. So the good news is there's a Tractor Supply near us, and they have the thread that we need. So we're probably gonna go there, pick up some new nuts to go on these head studs. I mean, it was expected that, you know, something would come up and we don't have everything that we need, which isn't an issue. I know we're gonna have to find hardware for the exhaust manifold and the intake manifold and things like that anyways. So that's just another thing to add to the list. So we will return. So just got back from Tractor Supply. Got some hardware. Got me a mocha frappuccino from Starbucks. But hopefully we have the right size, because I didn't take the studs out to take them with me. So hopefully these fit. I almost didn't find these because they are...
Wait a second. What's that smell?
I hope these don't have nylon in them. No, they don't. Okay. Moment of truth. Oh, yeah. Woo, look at that. So the good news is we do have the right size nuts. The bad news is these are not tightened down all the way. I'm stupid and just tightened them down as much as I could and left it at that. So I'm going to have to double check and make sure that the holes are cleaned out the best I can get them, and then see if I can tighten these down more. I'm just going to pull the head back off. Not a huge deal. And then tighten these down the rest of the way with vice grips. It doesn't matter if the sides get gnarred up. That's not a big deal. So I guess we'll take the bolts back out. All right, so let's try this again. These are dead end holes, so I made sure to look down in there, scrape it out with a pick. There wasn't really anything in there. I don't have compressed air, but I sprayed a good amount of carb clean in there just to get it as clean as possible. And now we're gonna try this again. So, because this one I tried tightening down as best I could, and it still wouldn't go all the way in. I would imagine it was just about bottomed out. See, yeah, now we're going way easier. All right, so here we are with round 2. The gasket is on. You're lined up right here. Okay. We definitely need a washer on this, but I cannot for the life of me get these any tighter, and I don't want to go too far and break something. So we're going to put a washer in there, a good thick washer, which there's supposed to be a good thick washer, because these are the ones that came with the head bolts. So I'm going to see what I can find. But I'm going to start throwing these head bolts back in, and then we should be able to get the nuts on and move forward. So it's officially time. If you haven't noticed, these are the washers that I have. They're a little janky, a little big, but they should clear the valve cover gasket, so we should be all good there. And now these need torque to 45 foot-pounds. We'll make our adjustment here with our good old trusty, probably super inaccurate Harbor Freight torque wrench. Yeah, good as we're gonna get, I think. And so when you're tightening down these head bolts, there is a sequence to it. You want to start on the inside and work your way out. There's a diagram online that'll show you the exact torque sequence, but you just kind of tighten them up a little bit at a time until you get to 45 foot-pounds. right. Cylinder head is officially installed. How exciting. I should have double checked that this was lined up. It's not. Learned from my mistakes. I tightened down the head bolts without lining up this edge here this time around. So I don't think I'm going to take the head bolts back out. I think I'm just going to put a little bit of RTV right there, and it should seal it right up. But otherwise, head's officially on. So we're ready to slap some push rods in, put the rocker arms on, distributor's ready to go on. We're making some real progress. So that's going to be it for today. I know it's not the length of my usual videos, but my phone's at 5% and we're recording this on my phone. So we're going to cut it off here. Might do another video later. But I also realized we want to get this engine running on the stand. I realize now I'm not going to be able to do that because the engine is mounted up on the stand to where the starter needs to bolt and also where the flywheel needs to go. So we'll figure it out. I have a cradle over there that we're going to probably use for that. But the head is officially on, which is super exciting because now all we have to do is slap the rest of the valve train in, oil pan on, outer accessories, and we're ready to fire it up. So stay tuned. I can't help it. I have to adjust this head. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to sleep. So, taking these bolts, or at least loosening these bolts, and then I'm going to see if I can just tap the head over a little bit with a hammer and hopefully get it lined back up. And then we're going to torque them back up to 45 foot-pounds, so you guys won't see me doing all that, but I'm doing it right now, I promise you. So that might need filed a little bit, the little head gasket there, but